Hey guys, welcome back to another episode from my kitchen. Today it's all about momos. Are you also obsessed with momos like me? Then you want to definitely watch this video where I walk you through 4 easy ways to shape your momos. My top 3 helpful tips you must know while making these. And I have also shared a bonus dip for you. So stick on and watch until the end so that you don't miss any of them. Today I'm going to show you 3 different kinds of momos. And if you want to see more such videos, do hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any video. Without any further ado, let's get started. The wrappers look like they are going to be tricky to make, but all you need is just 2 ingredients. They are that easy to make. So now let's start making the dough. Add in the flour to a bowl. To this I'm adding a pinch of salt and a little oil. The oil helps to get a soft and pliable dough. To this I'm adding some hot water. Don't add boiling water. Let it rest a bit and then add hot water. It shouldn't be boiling hot. So now let's add water to the flour and mix everything together. Start mixing it through. Then the dough comes together and becomes a bit clumpy. This is when you get into action with your hands. So now let's start kneading with the hands. Knead to a smooth dough for about 5 minutes using the heel of your palm. So this is what you're looking for, soft and pliable dough. Cover and rest the dough for about 20 minutes to half an hour with a damp cloth. So in the meantime, let's start preparing the filling, and for the filling let's do some prepping with the vegetables. So let's start off with the chopping of vegetables. So today I'm using cabbage, capsicum, carrots, spring onion, garlic, ginger and some green chilies for that spice kick. So you just feel free to use any vegetables of your choice. That's completely okay. To a pan, add in some oil. Once it's hot, add in the chopped ginger, garlic and green chilies and saute it for a minute or so, but make sure they're not like completely brown. We still want the raw texture and taste of the garlic and ginger. Now I'm adding the whites of the spring onions. Saute for a few seconds and then start adding the vegetables. So first I'm adding some cabbage, followed by grated carrot, capsicum, and give it all a nice mix. Remember that we need to have the crunch. We shouldn't lose the crunch. That's very important. Add in some salt. Now let's sprinkle some crushed pepper, some soy sauce, and finally add the greens of the spring onions and give it all a nice mix. Check for salt. I like to add a squeeze of lemon. We want to make sure that the filling binds as well as it's nice and juicy at the same time. So to give it the right kind of a texture, I like to add in some corn flour at this stage, and then I add a splash of water. You can also add in vegetable stock for more flavor, but I think water is fine because we already have lots of flavors going on here. Give it all a nice mix and then you get a kind of a slightly gooey texture. This you'll actually realize later when it's cold enough, and when you start making the filling, it kind of binds together without falling apart. So now let's turn off the heat and our filling is ready. So now let's see what's happening with the dough. So it's almost half an hour, so let's look how our dough looks. It looks quite good. So divide the dough into small balls. Flatten each ball, dust some flour and roll into small discs. The trick here is, again, now you start rolling out evenly, but then later you need to thin out the edges because that is where you're going to join the dumplings, and you don't want it to be thick because later when they steam, they're kind of very thick and not that tasty because there's no filling in the edges. So roll a few discs and place them on a plate, and make sure there is enough flour between the layers so that they don't stick to each other. So now take a disc, apply some water over the edges, place a little filling in the center. So first fold on one side and then just push the filling in and push the wrapper together to form the triangle shape, and then go press the sides together to make sure they are intact. So you can place a little bit or more, but when you do it you go overboard, then it's kind of difficult to close, but it tastes good later. So you just do it a little slowly and then you can actually manage to have as much filling as possible. There are a lot of shapes you can explore, and I felt this seems to be easiest, and so I thought I'll share with you. And I have also shared other shapes, few other shapes, I think about 4. So that's going to be a bonus thing for you. And now, as promised, I'm making another 4 shapes. Close it in half circle, press the edges and then join both ends like how you see in the video. Make a few pleats on one side and join the other side and press the edges. Start making pleats and complete the circle and join the center. So now we have everything ready. Try your hands on all the shapes and see which works best for you. So I'm not going to use any steamer because not everyone owns one. So I thought I will just share with a regular vessel. So you can use any regular vessel. But for today, I'm going to just use the regular idli stand to steam them. Add some water to the bottom of the vessel. So brush some oil to the plate so that they don't stick, and place all the momos and steam them for about 10 minutes. Look at these. Don't they look amazing? Remove them using some tongs because the stand will be very hot, but I have some plastic handles, so I'm just going to remove with them. Now similarly steam the rest of the momos. So now it's time to make the Tandoori Momos. So now let's prepare the marinade. For this I've taken yogurt into a bowl. To this I'm adding some salt, ginger garlic paste, tandoori masala, garam masala, some turmeric. Give it all a nice mix. And now I'm adding some chickpea flour to this so that it will kind of bind well to the momos and also give a nice texture to the momos when pan frying them. To this add the steamed momos and mix well and see that they're all well coated. So cover and keep it aside for about 20 minutes. So now let's pan fry the tandoori momos. For that, take a pan, add in some oil. Actually, you can also add this oil to the marinade, but I prefer to add it like this. So it's personal choice. So once the oil is hot enough, place all the momos over the pan. See that they're not overcrowded, and cover it with a lid, and I sear them on each side, especially the first side maybe for about 2 to 2.5 minutes, and on the other side for about 1.5 minutes, and then they're done. Turn sides and pan fry them on the other side too. Look at that crust. Doesn't it look beautiful? And it's like out of the world when you're actually eating it. And now let's get into that cheesy momos. So for this, I just saved up a little bit of a filling, and to this I'm adding in some grated cheese. So you can use any cheese, and to this I'm adding some finely chopped red capsicum. I like the nice color, and some red chili flakes, but this is all optional, so you can just go crazy with whatever fillings you want. Give it all a nice mix. Fill it in the same way and shape them however you wish to. Some of them steam and fry them, but I prefer to fry them directly, especially because they are cheese momos. Now for deep frying, heat oil in a small pan. I'm just making 2 to 3, so I'm just using a very small pan. So it depends on like how many momos you want to fry. So based on that you calculate, because you need oil for deep frying. And once the oil is hot enough, add in the momos and fry them until nice golden brown, but make sure you fry on medium-low heat, because otherwise they will cook from outside and not from inside. And this way you also get a nice crunchy crust. So make sure to fry on medium-low heat, just like how you fry your regular samosas. Look at that. Can you see that cheese oozing out? Oh my gosh, that looks like really yummy. My tip number 1, easy way to make wrappers quickly. I have another easy way to make multiple discs at a time. Roll into a big chapati or a disc. Use anything to cut out smaller discs. I'm just using a ring. And ta-da! You have 4 discs in one shot. Great, isn't it? Now just thin out the edges and work with them. My tip number 2. It's about storing the wrappers and filled momos. At this stage, you can actually kind of put it in a freezer bag and freeze them in the refrigerator and use them whenever needed. So this is like really very handy when you want to make momos at any time. So now at this stage, place them on a tray and put it into the freezer. I mean, this is in case you want to freeze them. So at this stage, you can also freeze them. So, but don't put them directly into the freezer bag and freeze, because then they'll tend to stick to each other. So first place it on a tray, and once maybe after about an hour or so, you can pop them into the freezer bag and store them and use them whenever needed. Tip number 3 is to get that tandoor effect or that awesome smoky flavor to your momos. It's the dunga method. For this, after marinating the momos, place a small bowl in the center. Place a piece of charcoal or coconut fiber over direct flame for a few seconds and then put it into the bowl. Immediately add ghee or any fat over it, and it starts to smoke. At this stage, you just immediately cover the bowl and leave it aside for about 20 minutes for the smoky flavors to infuse into the momos. So now let's make that easy peasy dip. So for this, in a bowl, I'm taking some soy sauce. To this, I'm adding some lime juice. You can also add vinegar. And now I'm adding in, like I just soaked some red chili flakes, ginger, garlic in some oil. So I'm just adding that. And now I'm adding in some finely chopped spring onions, some brown sugar, some fresh coriander, a pinch of salt, and give it all a nice mix. And you, trust me, you'll not believe how refreshing and yummy this will be. So with the steamed momos, I suggest you to try with this dip, because that's like the best combination. And of course for the cheese momos, you can also use this dip. Obviously for the tandoori momos, you don't need any dip because it already has the marinade and it's already spicy enough. I'm sure you guys enjoyed this video and your mouth is watering. Do try it and let me know how it turned out for you. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up and share it with your family and friends. And if you're here for the first time, you know what to do. Do go subscribe and do not forget to turn on the notification bell for new updates. That is it for today, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, it's me, Padma, signing off.